All right, I'm Bill Kleyman, co-founder and CEO of Apollo. You can check us out at apollo.us. And I'm also the executive chair of data center programs at Informa. It's such an exciting time right now. And I don't want to give too much away here, and you'll see it in the presentation, but the best way that I can explain it is that we live in a world that's just discovered oil, but hasn't invented the internal combustion engine. All this raw material, this black viscous fluid that we know is important, but we don't know necessarily what to do with it. So the question becomes, in this entire presentation, this entire event, we're talking gigawatts. We're talking massive deployments, racks that are consuming 1 megawatt. That's a ton. That's a completely new kind of power design. But like the question becomes why? Why are we building it? So my talk today, from cows to code to co-location, the why behind AI, the actual purpose of why we're deploying, delivering these kinds of architectures, and the reason why this future is so extraordinary and why digital infrastructure is the forefront of all of it. This conference is exceedingly unique, right? It truly is the anti-conference. It's the ambience, it's the people, and it's this, I don't know how else to put it, a unique combination of fun and facts, right? This laid back but yet intelligent community where we can come in, share thoughts and ideas, get up there, do a quick discussion, and then go back outside, right, in this beautiful foyer area and have a really great detailed conversation about what we just heard, and then go right back into a different session. This is one of the few conferences that I think has mastered the art of like networking, but also creating a wonderful space for information to be shared, right? All this information around the things that we're doing. I remember my first DCAC. There's obviously Gary Busey that I was not a part of that one, but I've heard the stories, seen the videos. But every year between Kirk and David and the entire team, we see they strive for excellence, right? They strive to make this conference even better, to get more people, to get more fun stories, something interesting. And there's a reason why they're called Revolution Tracks. They're not just, hey, come up here and talk about stuff. Why is what you're discussing truly revolutionary? I think I'm going to keep coming back, partly because I get to wear my Stetson and my cowboy boots and a really cool cowboy belt. Another reason is because I really do enjoy Austin. But this conference is really special and unique. The ambience, the people, certainly the atmosphere, and the information that we get to share. I won't miss it again. It really is an extraordinary time. People call it a transformation. People call it, I really believe it's a renaissance for our industry. We're asking infrastructure to do things that it was never really ultimately designed to do. And pardon the crude analogy, see right there with the oil thing. I'm just practicing my dad jokes. When we take a look at this black viscous material, right? You go back to the 1800s. You got me as a landman standing on a soapbox telling you how this stuff is going to fly us to the moon or across the skies. Meanwhile, Rhett, you're standing there laughing at me because my horse is eating out hay in the back and on a dirt road. So, but fast forward 225 years later, here we are. Oil is in everything. It's in medicine, it's in food, it's in shoelaces. And just like this black viscous stuff, AI is going to be in everything as well. But the big thing that certainly we at Apollo are working on is that we're not out there trying to build the next foundational model, the next ChatGPT or OpenAI. We're focusing on what we believe the industry is going to be going towards the next 24 to 36 months, and that's inference. The practical application of the stuff to real world scenarios. And you mentioned cows. So one of our clients is an agricultural client, right? They are out of Omaha, Nebraska, or just in Nebraska proper. And the challenge with them is that they have tens of thousands of cattle spread across hundreds, just thousands of acres of field, right? They have cameras set up to capture visual telemetry. Is it walking weird? Is it, not drinking water? Is it feeling bad? And those models used to run on Amazon. Take 1 to 2 weeks to run. By that time, you're going to lose not just a cow, right? You're going to lose a whole bunch of other things as well. And they moved that to our partner environment over in Omaha, and Scott Infrastructure, Scott Data Center. And all of a sudden, those models run in 1 to 2 hours. Now, I'm a city slicker. I don't know what that means. So we went over to these ag guys. They're like, you're going to have to tell me what this means. They're like, Bill, do you know how much a single head of cattle costs? $3,000 to $5,000. I'm like, that's a lot of money. We have tens of thousands of them. And what you've given us the ability to do is identify an infectious disease, not just in one cow or cattle, but in many of them across the entire space. And that's extraordinary for us because it saved us millions of dollars. We don't know how much yet, but you've changed the way that we do farming and improved food quality, right? Improved the lives of the farmers and the vets, how they get out there. That's just one use case. We now have these secret agents, agentic AI. I'm not making it, that's not scary at all. But they operate within a business to do extraordinary things, streamlining processes, removing hours upon hours of manual work. And just like this oil thing that I keep coming back to, we're going to find more and more and more use cases for this valuable raw material that completely change the way business operates. And the kicker, many of the deployments that we've done don't actually replace anybody. They're not replacing people. They're giving them back something that's truly finite, and that's time. So ultimately, just like this oil analogy, what we've seen now is a complete shift in how we as human beings interact with data. Almost overnight, if you go on Google or Bing, your favorite search engine, and you type in a question, it's no longer a blue ink. It's a generative AI response. All of us are users of these systems, and soon, beyond just like a ChatGPT or a nice little summary, these kinds of technologies are going to be everything. So we're going from a barrel of oil to how do we refine this to make it meaningful? That's where we are right now, to shoelaces. You're never short of opportunities to engage with someone interesting, to share a new idea. I truly believe that vision without execution is just hallucination, and that is something we do not want AI to do. And certainly what we shouldn't be doing from a business strategy perspective as well. This is my 6th DCAC. I'm very proud of that, 6th in a row. And every single year that I've come, my conversations don't even start at ACL. They start outside. They start at the hotel rooms, at the W, right at the Residence Inn, wherever people are staying. And they're usually meaningful conversations, almost always, I shouldn't say usually. And the opportunity here is to hear the latest updates, is to understand what our industry is doing. But again, beyond just these traditional types of conference and sessions, this is where you can meaningfully network and interact. You hear something fascinating, you've got a few minutes, you've got networking breaks, you've got a delicious barbecue lunch, which every year is just out of this park. But beyond that, it's the sharing of ideas and concepts and thoughts to really sort of push everyone else forward. Look, this industry is wild, right? We usually don't get out of bed anymore unless it's like a gigawatt or more opportunity, right? We call them bragawatts, right? And what's wild about this whole conversation is, and not to go back to this whole power thing, right? But by 2030, throw your favorite analyst up in the air. They're going to predict that we're going to be consuming 50 gigawatts of power. Now, here's the thing, Rhett, for a lot of people, those are just numbers. They don't know what 50 gigawatts even means. But conceptually, it's 1 gigawatt for about 1 million people. 10 is for the city of Los Angeles or New York. And 100 gigawatts is approximately 10% of all the lights that are currently on in the entire world. So when we start here in a Lone Star State talking about 25 gigawatt campuses, in the back of my mind, you want me to build a power system for 2 Los Angeles, 2.5 New Yorks? Are you kidding me? But that's the fun part. That's the conversation that we're having. There is no going back. We're not removing this new generative era of artificial intelligence. There's only moving forward. And we've reached the limit of some of what our systems can do. Like, for example, how much air can dissipate heat from mechanical equipment. So you're going to go up on stage, you're going to talk about how do I bring liquid into my facilities? How do I handle this new rack load, these new densities, these new costs, these new power assumptions? The only way that this industry moves forward is if we have those conversations together. None of this gets solved in a room, sitting alone, on a sad Google. I'm sorry, it's not sad, right? We have ChatGPT, but these conversations aren't done, in isolation. The only way we progress as an industry, a rising tide floats all of our boats, is that you have these conversations in great spaces. So really, the answer to your question is the opportunity is for you to come here, make sure you're not missing out on what's happening in this industry, and most of all, really find, I'm using the gold rush, right? The gold nugget for yourself, because everybody's piece of gold is a little bit different, however you refine it and put it into your final form. That's the ultimate opportunity, is to come here to learn something special and meaningful and take it back to your business. Data center design, like I said earlier, is really experiencing a renaissance, right? A shift in how we look at things, right? If you look at a traditional rack, right, our industry is at approximately, let's say, 16 kilowatts per rack, which is not bad, right? We've progressed quite a bit. But a standard AI rack, like for example, one in Scott Data Center, one of our facilities, is 70 kilowatts per rack, right? Rear door heat exchangers, you've got some liquid cooling in there, but that's a lot. You're talking upwards of like 10x of what maybe a traditional 5 to 10x traditional infrastructure can handle, right? But then the other question is, Are you on raised floors? Can your tiles handle the weight? Can you bring water in? Can you handle that level of density that's going into your infrastructure? AI is forcing a rethink. And that's not a bad thing, right? Right now, what we've seen is infrastructure doing things that was never ultimately designed to do. We're seeing some failure, right? We're understanding the limitations of what air can do for us. But really, the understanding of what designs look like in the near future, especially for these kinds of inference at the edge or large-scale AI factories or modular prefabricated architecture, we're building it all. Obviously, listen, email's not going anywhere. SQL Server is still important, right? You still need your virtualization environments. Your pizza box servers are safe. But as a part of that high performance compute, HPC colo, really high density architecture, and like I said earlier, these 24 to 36 months where inference, people actually doing AI at the edge, might not require 50,000 GPUs, but you might need a few hundred, and still those racks are going to be requiring a redesign. Look, if you want like a specific answer, at GDC 2025, Jensen Huang came up there and he talked about the NVL576, and that is a 600 kilowatt rack. And for the people listening, those are silly. That's silly numbers, right? Even right now, that's 10 times the 60 kilowatts that I'm able to produce, right? So now you're thinking, oh my God, are we putting direct current into our facilities? DC over AC? No, yeah, there we go. We got the conference name in there as well. But do we have to redesign so that our power systems aren't the size of like 2 Coke cans, but the size of a AA battery because of the kind of power systems that we bring in? What about the flooring? What about the liquid that we have to put in there? What about obviously working with communities, for example? There's a lot of new questions that we have to ask. And I don't think it's scary. I think it's really exciting. But you have to go on that journey. You have to ask those questions. And my big push here as far as the re-architecture of the data center is that you don't have to let go of legacy, right? We're still going to require airflow. You're still going to require traditional architecture and design, but what the future looks like specifically, much more density, much more weight and load capacity, way more power requirements, liquid closer to the rack. And I think that's great, right? We've gone from an industry that was these nondescript buildings built in the middle of nowhere to, put in your favorite news station and suddenly they're talking about data centers. The spotlight has been great, but also a little unnerving, right? Makes a lot of us a little uncomfortable in the industry. And I think it's a good thing because we need to have these conversations, tell people that we're not, water hogs, that we are good neighbors, right? We are trying to become not just nondescript warehouses, but like a water tower or a hospital, a true part of these communities. So the re-architecture of the data center isn't just physical, right? It's societal as well, because that's how deeply integrated we become with literally everything.